What you mean you don't know Panna? She's dope. What you mean? What you mean? What you mean? What you mean? What is poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Dope Ass Panna, and today in this video I'm going to show you guys a quick and easy way that you guys can transform your client's hair into beautiful 26-inch boho faux locks. And today this video is sponsored by Lockbraids. They sent me 3 packs of these beautiful boho locks, guys. They are already constructed with human hair, and this makes it so much easier to achieve the look. Each pack comes with 24 locks, and even though they sent me a total of 3 packs, I actually only ended up using 2. So I can't wait for you guys to see this transformation. So this beautiful hair has hair falling throughout and on the ends, and in addition to that, you're going to need to use 1 pack of the Twisted Up Expressions Ultra hair to wrap the locks. And I'm just showing you guys how beautiful these locks are. So they have about 4 to 5 pieces hanging out of each lock, and then they also have the human hair on the ends, so it's going to really give a nice and full look throughout. Each lock also has a loop at the top, and we're going to use that loop to crochet these locks in. So I'm going to start off by braiding 1 inch to 2 inches of my client's natural hair, and this is what we're going to do before adding on the lock. Remember, how much you braid your client's natural hair before adding the lock on is going to determine where that lock stops. So you do want to make sure you check with your client to get the length that they want for these locks. So I'm going to put the crochet hook through the lock, and then I'm going to crochet 1 strand of the braid through that loop that is at the top of the lock, and then I'm going to continue to braid, and this is how I'm going to seal that lock onto my client's natural hair. You can also fully braid your client's natural hair and just crochet that lock in, but the reason why I didn't do that is because that will leave a lump, and we don't want that. We want a seamless faux lock. So by doing this and braiding it in instead of crocheting it after you've already done the braid, it will prevent any lumps and bumps in your lock. So by braiding 1 to 2 inches of my client's hair, these locks are going to stop slightly below her butt. And if you want all of your locks to stop at the same length, then you're going to have to make sure that each row that you do above that first guide row, you are adding in those locks at the same place. Otherwise, you're going to get more of a layered look. So basically, as you're doing your rows going up, you are going to have to braid down slightly more for each row, and making sure that you're adding that lock in at the same place. That way they will all hang at the same length. So this is what it's going to look like when I add all of them in, and you guys can see as I am showing you guys the length of those locks, they are all pretty much stopping at the same length. Now these locks for me would be considered my medium size, and my client did want a side part, so I'm going to go ahead and do a side part for her. In a second, I'm going to show you guys my parting guide. You can do them smaller. I wouldn't really suggest doing them bigger because these specific locks are pretty skinny, but I am going to show you guys my parting guide here. So at the nape of the neck, I did a total of 2 rows, and then I'm gonna do 3 rows that fully go around my client's entire head. So you're just kind of parting like a U shape. So that's the first row. This here is my second row that's gonna travel all the way around, and then I have my 3rd row. And remember, I said that my client wanted a side part, so then I went ahead and I started parting straight across. I did 1 row that way, and then 3 rows going to the left. So now we're gonna start by wrapping these locks since we have crocheted them all in, and I'm gonna take the tail end of my client's braid and I'm gonna crochet it through the top. And I definitely switched this method up about 3 rows in, and I will tell you guys why later, but for now I'm just going to kind of talk you through what I initially did. So I'm going to crochet that braid in, and you want to make sure that it's laying naturally. If you are pulling the braid in and it's too tight, then your lock will rise up like that, and we don't want that. So you guys just want to make sure it lays natural. And then you're going to take a piece of that twisted up crochet hair, and you're going to also crochet that through the root of the client's braid. This is the hair that we're going to be using to wrap, and it's already pretty much pre-fluffed, so you don't really have to fluff it out too much. You're going to make one end of it short. The other end that's long is going to be the end that we wrap around. So you're going to start by wrapping about 3 to 4 times at the base of your client's head, and then you're going to start to wrap downward. As you're wrapping, you do want to make sure that that hair stays fluffed out, and you want to make sure that you are slightly wrapping over the section that you just wrapped to make sure that your client will have full coverage in this wrapping method. And you're going to make sure that those human hair pieces are not being wrapped away, so I will pull those out the way, and I'm going to continue to wrap. I only wrap about a couple, like an inch past my client's natural hair before I begin to wrap upward, and this hair is pretty coarse, so it will pretty much stay in place. So you guys can see that that is where my client's natural hair ends. So I'm going to continue to wrap until I get slightly past that, and then I'm going to begin to wrap upward. I'm going to continue to wrap upward until I don't have any more hair to wrap. And to get the best seal on your lock, you want to make sure that no matter how small that piece is, you continue to wrap it around until it's gone, and then I palm roll it, and I'll pull the rest of those human hair pieces down so that they're hanging. And that is pretty much how I wrap my locks. So to give you guys a guide on how much hair I'm using to wrap, I do take one piece of that twisted up crochet hair, and I'm going to break it down into 4, and I'm going to use one of each of these for each lock. So basically one piece will give you 4 locks. It only takes 1 pack to complete a full head of locks if you guys are doing the same exact style that I'm doing. So remember I told you guys that I ended up switching it up. My client's hair is really thick, and so instead of crocheting through the top of the lock, I started crocheting a little bit down because I noticed that the top of my lock was a little bit bulky, and I was going for more of a natural look. So instead of me crocheting it through the root of the braid, I just crocheted a little bit down, and then I continued to wrap. Now this twisted up hair, I still am gonna put at the root of the braid and wrap it down, but it is gonna look a little bit more natural. And I will show you this lock compared to one of the locks that I had did before, and I'll show you guys how it just looks a little bit more natural. When it comes to doing these locks, I do want them to be kind of flat and seamless. Like, people really like to go for that natural root look so that it looks like my client's natural hair. And so this is just a technique that I found as I went along the way that kind of worked for me. If you guys have other suggestions, you can also let me know in the comment section. I really don't do locks often, but I do see different methods on Instagram all the time that I like to try, and so this was just one of them. If your client has really natural hair, you might even want to consider not crocheting their hair upward at all. Like, you might just want to wrap the braid as it's hanging down, because it'll just make for a seamless lock. Sometimes it'll get bulky in certain areas, and we don't want that. So yeah, just a couple suggestions if you guys are working on clients with thicker hair. So I know it's kind of blurry because I'm super zoomed in, but you guys will see how that lock looks there compared to like the bulkiness of this one at the top. You guys can kind of see a difference. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can. So yeah, that was just like one little technique change that I kind of did, you know, a couple rows in. So these are the locks here so far, and this is 1 pack of the hair. So 1 pack got me pretty much all the way here. Like I said, this is 24 locks, and so I'm gonna use 1 more pack to complete that top section. But look how it looks already, guys. All of my locks are the same length. You guys can see that beautiful boho hair falling throughout, and I'm just gonna complete this lock, and then we'll get into some of the finishing touches. So this style took me 4 hours to complete overall, which is really not bad, guys. If you have a pre-made lock, it definitely makes this so much easier, especially when clients want boho. So shout out to Lockbraids for making an amazing product. They also have different lengths for you guys. I just chose 26 inches because I knew that the hot girls like length, and it would be super easier for me to find a model if the locks were pretty long. So they do offer different lengths, and yeah. Shout out to them because it definitely just made the process way quicker than having to feed in your own boho hair and wrap your own locks. I don't even know that people do that anymore. So yes, this will definitely be a time saver for you guys. Alright guys, so to finish up this look, I am obviously going to do her edges, and I love to do fluffy edges. So a lot of people ask, is it necessary to flat iron your client's edges? It's not, but a lot of the young girls go for that look. You guys know that I'm using the Dope collection, which is my own brand, and all of the products that I use in this video will be linked in the description section for you guys, so make sure you guys go ahead and check them out. But yeah, I'm just going to do some really soft edges on her. And like I said, I really love the flat iron look, and it just makes it really easy for me to lay the edges the way that they, you know, the way that my client wants them to be laid. So I do typically flat iron my client's edges unless they request not to. I always ask them before I do it, but if it's a client I know, usually they're like, yeah, do your thing. So these edges were laid beautifully, and guys, I cannot wait to get into the finished look of this style. One thing I do want to say before we get into the finished look is that the hair that you wrap with is important, guys. If you guys can't find this brand, then you want to make sure you find a brand that mimics the texture of the lock. Sometimes the water wave hair or whatever hair that people use to do locks is a lot more silky, so you just want to make sure it matches the texture of the locks that you're going to be using before you wrap with it. And so yeah, this is my finished look, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Shout out to Lockbraids. These locks were bomb, beautiful. I definitely will be using them again. It made the process so much easier. They're already handmade. It's 100% human hair, and you'll get a full look from top to bottom. If you guys have tried this brand out before, let me know your thoughts or leave a review for them in the comment section down below. As always, guys, if you have any requests, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure that I create a tutorial for you. And thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys in my next video. What you mean you don't know Panna? She's dope. What you mean? What you mean? What you mean? What you mean?